यही स्वतंत्रता लता गया लगा कि मुल्क और चोर खून से रंगा, बिखेर बीच फूट के हुआ अलग, स्वदेश सर्व काल को गया ठगा. The very wine of freedom came to be stained with blood from end to end. The seeds of division were scattered and the homeland was torn apart. 79 years ago, millions of ordinary lives were torn apart by a line on a map. A mother held her child tighter, not knowing where they were going, if they would survive the toil. A father locked the door of his home for one last time. A grandmother, unwilling to leave, knowing her frail body might not survive the journey. And children left behind the only world they had ever known. They did not understand borders. They understood only that their parents were afraid. Over 15 million people were uprooted. Trains carried families across the new border and sometimes arrived carrying only the dead. Homes became memories. Wells became graves. And August 15, for millions, was not just the morning India became free, it was the morning they lost the world they called home. This was the partition. A line was drawn across a map, but it cut through millions of lives. In a village called Thoa Khalsa, near Rawalpindi, there is a well that still carries a terrible memory. On March 12, 1947, 93 women walked to that well and jumped in one after another, choosing death over the terror they believed awaited them. They kept jumping until the well was filled with their bodies and the last few could no longer drown. This was 5 months before independence. 5 months before there was a border to divide India and Pakistan. The killing did not begin with the line drawn on a map. The violence was already here. The man tasked with drawing that line, Cyril Radcliffe, had never set foot in India before. He was given just 5 weeks to divide the subcontinent. Working through the blistering Delhi summer, he relied on outdated census maps and hurried through the task. When he was done, he burned his papers and sailed back home. The Boundary Award was published on August 17th, 2 days after independence. For 48 hours, nearly 15 million people celebrated freedom without knowing which country they belonged to. In the Chittagong Hill Tracts, where nearly 97% of the population was Buddhist, 10,000 Chakmas gathered in Rangamati on August 15 and raised the Indian tricolor. They believed they were part of India. On August 17, the radio told them otherwise. They were now in Pakistan. 4 days later, on August 21, the Baluch regiment marched into Rangamati and tore down the Indian flag. The streets that had carried celebration just days earlier now carried only blood and death. For the Chakmas, that day became known as Black Day. Their descendants still remember it. In Punjab, the people moved in columns called kafilas. One of them, 400,000 strong, crawling 12 miles a day, starving. The trains were worse. At Kamoke, a train of 3,000 refugees was stopped and butchered. 600 women were taken off it alive. Ghost trains arrived at Amritsar and Lahore with no one left to step down. Then came the part nobody films. India, under the rule of Congress, and Pakistan agreed to take their women back. Under an act of 1949, police could seize any woman they suspected, no warrant, no consent, and post her across the border like property. Around 20,000 were recovered. Many had already remarried, already had children. Between 1954 and 1957, 860 children were left behind by mothers sent to Pakistan. Only 410 were allowed to go with them. Bengal had no single terrible night. Bengal bled slowly. 1947, 1950, 1964, 1971. A partition that never finished. Dalit Namasudra families were shipped to the dry forests of Dandakaranya, 1,000 miles from water they understood. Some walked back. In 1979, they settled an island in the Sundarbans called Marichapi. The state cut off their food and water and then it cut them down. 32 years after partition was still killing people. And Sindh was never even divided. It simply went to the other side. 1 million Sindhi Hindus left a homeland that has no state, no map, no return address in India. Their language was not recognized in the constitution until 1967. In 1950, the asylums were divided too. 450 patients sent from Lahore to Amritsar, 233 the other way. August 15, 1947 gave us freedom. But for millions, freedom came with a wound that outlived them. Homes were lost. Families were broken. Mothers lost children. Children lost childhoods. and entire generations inherited memories of places they could never return to. Yet they survived. They crossed borders with little more than what they could carry and rebuilt homes, cities, communities, lives. They carried their languages, their prayers, their recipes, their songs, and the names of the homes they had left behind. Because partition did not erase their past. It made memory their only inheritance. A border can divide a land. It cannot erase the love a person carries for home. Nearly 8 decades later, the wells still remember. The trains still haunt our history, and millions still carry, somewhere inside them, a homeland that exists on no map. Partition was a line drawn across a country, but its scars were drawn across generations. We remember not to reopen the wound. We remember because some losses are too great to be forgotten,